Welcome to Toni Unleashed, the podcast, where I unleash the truth about all things pets. My research and anecdotal evidence, paired with expert interviews, will help your pet thrive. I'm here to answer questions, share insights, and spread awareness about what's really going on in the world of pets. I'm Toni Unleashed with 25 years of experience in the pet space. Welcome to the show. Hi, and welcome to Toni Unleashed. And I am thrilled to be here with my friend Rebecca Rose, owner of In Clover Supplements. And we are here to talk about Women's History Month and how we can loop it in with how the pet industry works with women, predominantly in the industry. So, welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you for having me, Toni. Always good to see you.
Likewise. We're way too far apart.
Oh, but on the screen, we are.
Look good, huh?
Yeah, we look good. Looks like we could just reach out here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we are very passionate, both of us, about our businesses and serving others. And we have pretty similar core values, which has gotten us to this point, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
It as did you say what I do?
I said you were the owner of In Clover Supplements.
Okay.
You can
So,
elaborate.
so because my background comes from as a scientist, I come from a biotechnology world, really male dominated. Whoosh, buddy. And then moving from that biotechnology through research into pet supplements, and coming into a leadership role in the pet industry, again, I oftentimes am the other in the room.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting place to be. And it absolutely does change your perspective on how to get things done, how to collaborate, how to communicate. And I really believe it's made me stronger in all of those areas, being the other in the room. And it's also made me very willing to include and invite people in who are also the other in the room.
Interesting. Well, I've been in retail most of my life, and minus a couple of attempts at escaping retail. I had my own pet sitting business for 8 years, but other than that, it's mostly been retail. And with retail, you do have, and a lot of it was in the fashion world, but a lot of it is on the service level of things, and the store management level. We have primarily women, and then district manager level, we actually did primarily have women, some men, I would say, because I worked for Aeropostale, I worked for the Limited Corporation. So I did have some women district managers in there. And this is going back to the 90s. So that's encouraging. But then you get above there and it's all male primarily, all men primarily.
And oftentimes decisions are being made in that suite, and sometimes they don't have the perspective that would be helpful of having an other in that room and at that table.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I don't know. It's just an interesting, I think an interesting outlook on things. So, and things need to shift. I think we've made a lot of progress, but I think we're still working on progress. So in 1978, just to, kind of start where this all started, was um, women's recognition started as a week celebration in Santa Rosa, California.
Isn't it? And when you think about put it in perspective, um, 1978, it wasn't that long ago, and
Uh-uh.
that was when somebody thought, maybe we should highlight these folks who are really impactful in our world, whether it's your daughter, your mother, your spouse, your sister, everybody is in contact and working with women.
Yeah. And it was apparently very well received and spread throughout the country pretty quickly. And other cities did this celebration in this week. So that in 1980, the National Women's History Project lobbied Jimmy Carter to issue a proclamation that it become a month-long recognition. So he did it, of course.
Gotta love Jimmy Carter, right?
Gotta love Jimmy Carter. Gotta love.
Yeah.
I wrote. My mother had me write to Amy Carter because we were the like exact same age, I think, and she made me. I have to find it. She made me write to Amy Carter. I have no idea what I wrote, but I got a letter back, which I'm sure Amy didn't write, but I got a letter back, and then I got. My mom let the town newspaper know. So I have a picture on the front cover of the Blairsville Dispatch, which is probably, like 10 pages long, like it's a little newspaper, but it was me holding up my letter from Amy Carter sitting on my front porch.
But I love that because your mom
Yes.
was progressive enough to understand that here is somebody who, I mean, Amy Carter in the White House at her age was revolutionary. And she got a lot of attention, which had to be hard for kind of an awkward preteen girl to
Yeah.
go through. And for your mom to recognize that we can do anything. And
Mhm.
so even in this little town in Pennsylvania, you let the White House know who you are.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that.
I
It's
love
powerful.
how you look at that. My mother used to say, in her next life, she was coming back as a man. Yep.
That is great. My mother-in-law did a lot of service work, and one thing that she did in the local community was she served on city council. And she told me one time that every time she went to a city council meeting, she wore men's underwear.
Literally?
Literally, you just do what you gotta do, right?
That's hysterical.
Yeah,
I wish I had met Jim's mother. Oh my God.
yeah, she was a force.
Really?
Yeah.
So my mother was a force, but she lacked the self-confidence.
Oh. Yeah, my mother-in-law told me one time that she always worked outside the home, and she decided that she wanted to buy a little MG midget convertible car.
Uh-huh.
And so she went to the bank to get a loan, and her husband had to sign for it.
Hmm.
She said prior to that, she tried to get a credit card, and she couldn't get a credit card.
Hmm.
And we've certainly evolved, and you
Yes.
think about that sort of thing, and you just go, like, I know you. How is that possible?
Hmm.
I think I
Hmm.
could read stuff like that, but I had no perspective of how quickly things had moved forward during that was probably in the 1970s. So how they were moving forward fairly quickly during that era.
So I don't think that a woman could get a loan without her husband co-signing for her went all the way through to 1980. It's possible. Like
Ugh.
it was way longer than you can even imagine. It was like late 70s or 1980 that it was a woman could go and apply for a loan without her husband.
I do think we need to communicate this. I think we need to communicate this perspective
Yeah.
that this was what was happening when Jimmy Carter signed this bill and said, you know what, we're going to make a month and we're going to feature the women in history. All of these things were happening. And so that was really revolutionary.
And yet it took 7 years to pass in Congress.
Well, and I don't think that was, I mean, we probably could look up the makeup of Congress at the time and go, yeah, they're probably, it was probably a pretty uniform bunch of older white guys.
Well, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was not the first female. She was the first.
Sandra, Sandra O'Connor.
Sandra O'Connor. And when was she?
So Reagan brought her in. So
So
when
that
that
was
80s,
mid 80s.
yeah.
Yeah.
But she was the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
In the
remember learning
80s,
about that. Yeah.
which is wild.
Right? Yeah.
Wild.
I mean, talk about women in leadership lacking a seat at the table. Shush. Yeah.
So let's talk about the pet industry. And so, do we have any women in leadership?
It definitely is an area where, when you look at the leadership echelon in the pet industry, it's lacking. And especially when you think about um, the service, the retail, the shoppers, you think about how heavily our market is led by women as far as who's making these decisions, who's giving advice as to what products to purchase, what services to use. But then you look at that C suite and you look at the leadership, and the statistics show that the pet industry is run by men at that level. Still, 2025 is when we're taping this.
So, how can we change that? And I'll 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 say this on here what I said before we started recording. Rebecca and I talked through like the outline of how we want this conversation to go, and I said, how do we change this and get more women into leadership roles in the pet industry and any industry in the world in general without sounding like a couple of whiny bitches, right? So,
Right.
because when me being in a leadership role because I own my company, you being in a leadership role because you own your company, when when we make a decision or project ourselves as business owners and no bullshit kind of conversation, a lot of times it is received as, boy, she's a fucking bitch. You know what I mean? Whereas if
Yeah.
if a man was presenting in that way, okay, I'll get my shit together.
Yeah, and I have really gotten to the point, Tony, where I lead with data. So I'm very driven, data driven, and so I lead with data and fact. And I probably have developed that because I have been told, wait, you really seem emotional about this. Not you believe in this, you have the data to show that you do, but you really seem emotional about this, which
Mm-hmm.
I think is one of those unconscious biases that it
Mm-hmm.
gets discounted because emotional can link to a woman trait, not a man
Yep.
trait.
Yep.
And so I have gotten very much even when I'm in a meeting and the way I speak and the just my um, disposition is keeping a very flat affect as far as I don't facially, I don't get uh, emotional.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Uh-huh.
in working with that, which is it's something, it's a skill that probably over the years has served me well. And I think that understanding that we do have to amplify other women. And so if we are in the room with other women and a woman has an idea and it goes around the table and a man says, I really like the way Gary talked about that idea. And you know that Jennifer said that idea, amplifying and not being confrontational about it, but just saying, um, yeah, when Jennifer said that, I really liked, and Jennifer, what I especially liked what you said was this, and bringing it back and amplifying. And that is something we all can do every single day. I think there are a lot of little things like that that don't sound like we're whining or um, we're being emotional because we're mad. It just amplifies and brings people up.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. I get angry.
You get angry and swear.
I do. I
Okay.
really do.
That's one approach. That works too. I'm just saying what I do. You do you.
Oh, we are clearly the complete opposites.
And yes, and um, the mentorship that we provide to each other is and has been powerful, right?
I think so.
I respect and look to you for insights, advice, and outside of even your role as an owner in the retail space, um, in uh, culture fundamentals, how you've addressed certain issues, and I think that joint mentorship is important, and I think it has a special place for women, quite frankly,
Uh-huh.
because there's not the ego involved in it. When
Uh-huh.
I come to you and ask you for something, I can be very vulnerable and very transparent, and I know that your response is going to come from a place of authentic caring, and that's powerful. And
So,
I would venture to say that that's an advantage that women have,
oh,
is
for
being
sure.
able to do it.
For sure. And I think that, yes, and if you find a group or a person like you and I are that is, uh, looks at things differently, because you bring me down when I'm angry and say, okay, hold on, let's break this apart, because I don't break anything apart. I just go to from A to Z and react. So you bring me down to a level headed and help me break out some things and say, okay, let's look at it this way though. And what about this? And like a more analytical approach, whether there's numbers involved or not or whatever. But that's what you do for me. So, which I greatly appreciate.
Well, thank
Uh,
you. I've been called Switzerland before. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I like the Swiss.
so we need to take this and provide it to others. And there are, resources and groups out there. You have to find, a person or group that will help to lift you up. But I have part of the reason, well, Rebecca also likes to really volunteer me for a lot of things in the pet industry. So, and you just don't say no to Rebecca. So I have become a board member for IndiePet, and IndiePet is an organization, nonprofit, that supports the independent pet stores in the nation to be stronger. Again, a collective group of people, strength in numbers. So I have become a board member to help push the needle, right?
Yeah. And how important is that to have your perspective, your voice at the table with this organization? Because it's an organization that was founded
By
by
men.
men.
And I love them.
And,
And
and
they've
they are
created
great.
an amazing thing.
Yeah. And they bring a different perspective to it.
So, and I reluctant might not be the right word. I went into it with my hackles up because this was founded by men in high powering positions in the pet industry. So my hackles were up.
The
But
executive director they hired
man,
happens to be a man.
yes, yes,
Yeah. So the optic of that, not great.
not great. But our president is now a woman, our first
Yay.
president. Yep. So,
Powerful.
yep. And, but I've developed great relationships with the founders, and, you know, their heart was in the right place, their mind was in the right place in developing this. And my voice is absolutely heard in that room.
That's a huge win right
Yeah.
there. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. So, well, what's a win for you?
I I feel like being a woman entrepreneur and moving from biotechnology, which is a totally different skill set than starting up a pet supplement business, is a win. And did it in we've been around for over 20 years, so did it in a time where I was asked a lot when I would tell people, and have recently even been asked this, when I would tell people, yeah, I own a company. We develop and make pet supplements that are scientifically based for animals. And the question was, so is your husband in the business with you?
Hmm.
And a win for me is to say, no, no, this is something that I created. This is my project.
Hmm.
Yeah, and definitely has taken. I have a voice at the table now, and I feel a responsibility in having that voice. I feel a responsibility to serve, and I really think one of my favorite powerful women in history is Margaret Mead, the anthropologist, who was born right around 1900. So she came into a field that they probably had never seen a woman in before. And one time she was asked when she thought what she thought was the birth of civilization. And the person asking thought it would be something like when we found tools, when we found that, people could actually, had wheels and could work with tools. But instead, she said that it was when we found um, a evidence of a leg bone that had healed. That was
Huh.
the beginning of civilization because somebody had to help that person in order to get food for them, to provide them with help in order to allow that bone to heal. They didn't just run away and take care of their own things.
Right.
And I think that is what is important, that we have a responsibility to serve and help others. And that's what differentiates a civilization and very uncivilized behavior.
So that's how I feel with being a board member for IndiePet. I feel like I am serving and helping others. So, and I'm speaking at Global to another organization called Pet Boss Nation, Candice Daniolo. I think that's how she pronounces her last name. I'm not positive. But she created Pet Boss Nation after she sold her retail store to help support retailers across the country with business advice, coaching, ideas, that sort of thing. But she reached out asking if I would talk about my private label journey.
Oh,
Yeah.
how incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
So, and I absolutely I am not and would not charge her. I will just shamelessly plug the podcast.
Good on you. Yeah,
Right. And
yes, of course.
my heart is there for it. Like I'm happy to share that information, what worked, what didn't work, if I can if it can further conversations with retailers across the country, I'm happy to do that as well. I mean, when I go on vacation, first thing on my list is what pet stores do I have to visit. I was in Santa Barbara. I went to 4.
And you loved it, I'm sure. Well,
Love.
did you go behind the counter of any of them?
I
That's what I want
didn't.
to know.
I
Oh,
didn't.
and I just have to say, when Tony and I visited pet stores, at one point I looked up and she was behind the counter. I just went, this is amazing. She went from, yeah, I'm just walking in just like a normal person to I am behind the counter and I'm helping you talk about your point of sale system.
I don't even remember what store was that.
Chow down in Evergreen,
Oh
Evergreen,
my God.
Colorado. Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
I don't think it's because of where we are in life either or an age thing. Like I think this has been this for you has definitely always been a thing. You've always been in mentorship programs and been involved because I've always over the years I'm like, how the hell does she do this? Why is she doing this? But you get a lot from like you love to do it.
It absolutely fills me up. It's one of the things that I give myself grace to do because it's time consuming. So I mentor university students at CU here in Boulder, Colorado. I am on the board of directors of Imagine, which is a um, $40 million nonprofit that supports individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. In the pet industry, I'm on the board of directors for the Pet Sustainability Coalition, bringing pet businesses and retailers tools to act in a more sustainable way. And I will say that for at Global, I'm going to be on a panel for women in the pet industry. So,
Oh,
uh, coming off of this whole Women's History Month, we have a panel of 5 unbelievable women in the pet industry, very varied experience, who are going to talk about their experiences as women in this industry, where we are, and we've all had very different journeys. But that's going to be on the stage, the sustainability
spotlight.
pavilion stage on the show floor Wednesday morning.
Okay. After this, I want to get that on my calendar because I want to make sure I'm there for it.
It should be really interesting. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I want to be there for it. So through we discussed this, but through this mentorship, through these organizations, through education and awareness um, of what other women are doing, have done, can do, is how we can lift others up. And it's not a matter of, okay, you picked 10 men, now it's time to pick a woman, right? No,
No,
no.
it's
And
not
we don't want that.
quotas. Oh, no, that is that's the furthest thing.
Yep, yep. No, we want to elevate women so that they truly earn, deserve, how, what's the right word? Earn? Have
Yeah.
have the skill set to get into more leadership roles
Yeah. And at
and
the
the
same
confidence.
and at the same time, I recognize that there is not a level playing field, that we were not born on the 95-yard line, right? And there's plenty of data to show that there are biases, unconscious biases that keep women out of a seat at the table, leadership roles. And because of that, we can't just say, you know what, join more groups, get involved in mentorship, mentee experiences. We can't just say that because the data has shown that even though there's not an awareness of this, that over and over again, if you put a group of mentors and prospective mentees in the room, that men will select male mentees. Men mentors will select male mentees. And so what we have to do is to be supportive and inclusive. And I've had both men and women mentees.
Hmm.
And I think it's equally powerful for me to mentor women and to mentor men at the
For
university
sure.
student level.
I
and,
agree.
and opening that up, I think is really important. And so we have to do more than just push people in a room and give them a list of, join the Chamber of Commerce and be involved in your community. We have to be able to support them and create a network that can help people and to elevate people, not giving them something for nothing, but reaching back and giving them a hand up
Hmm.
so that they can have that opportunity
Hmm.
to thrive.
Hmm. And I think, speaking of unconscious bias, I think we as women are even guilty of it as well. And it's,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, I mean, I have shared when it comes up what I do, I own a chain of pet food and supply stores. Well, did. I only have one now, but regardless, when I did own four, it's a common rebuttal that person would say, "Oh, well, what kind of food do you make?" Or you make treats? Like you have a bakery in there? I'm like, no. It's a yeah. I mean, there's no way to describe it without seeing it. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm
Oh, yeah.
a full
I,
blown pet food and supply store.
yeah. And I feel it when you tell that story. I can actually
Hmm.
feel it
Hmm.
because that person is not saying it to bring you down at
No,
all. That's
no,
all they know.
no.
That's their perception, which is why it's so important to have visuals of women in leadership, of people who are that look different, whether it's a different color, if they, with my heart project of working with individuals who have intellectual and developmental disabilities and creating a world for all abilities. Um, these people may look different. They may be in a wheelchair. That does not mean that
Right.
they can't do it. So it's such a broad spectrum. And so when you say that, when you tell that story, it's exactly
Hmm.
what we're talking about.
Hmm. Yep. So we're here to elevate and have an impact on the future.
Yeah. And it warms my heart that we can all do this, like
Uh-huh.
one little thing at a time. It doesn't have to, we don't have to be doing something big. to make a big impact. Like just amplifying another person's voice makes an impact.
Right.
Mentoring somebody else makes an impact. You uh, send a text asking for help, replying right away makes an impact.
Hmm.
All of those little things that we can all do every single day.
IndiePet does have a mentorship program.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't, I've been meaning to sign up and I haven't yet, but I'm going to. Yeah. Yeah. And I hope that, my hope is that the podcast reaches more people and educates more people. And because I mean, it is primarily about the pet food industry and supplements and how to have healthier pets, but is also, I mean, I do talk a lot about business, so, and entrepreneurship. So, is it windy in Colorado?
Okay. So can you hear the
Yeah,
wind in the background?
windy.
Oh my gosh. When we started, it was not windy. And I thought, my office is on the top floor
Yeah.
of a like a wind tunnel. And I almost moved this to another room, and I went, it's surprisingly calm now. We're getting a little bit of a storm coming
Oh,
in. I'm looking at the Rocky Mountains right now and watching it roll in.
yeah.
Yeah. So I apologize for the sound effects, but yeah, it's Colorado wind.
I figured. And yes, I could hear it. That's wild. Okay, so what did we miss anything? Any thoughts on anything else?
I would like to say that as much as we have work to do, um, I I feel like we have come a long way.
Hmm.
And an example that I think about all the time is that early in my biotechnology career, I had an opportunity to present to the board of directors of a multi-billion dollar Fortune 500 company. And it was scary. I was prepared. Boy, I spent some time on the presentation, and this board met in our startup facility. So it was a small facility owned by this much larger company. And so we were in this tiny little conference room, and we're all like knees touching around a table. And my turn to present came. And the board of directors happened to be all older white men. I was the only woman in the room. I was very young. And I started my presentation and did not have 3 words out of my mouth when one of the board members, in a conversational voice, looked at the person next at the man next to him and said, I can't hear her. I can't hear what she's saying. Can you hear her?
Oh,
Yeah, he couldn't hear me. And that was a conscious bias on his part to not hear me. And I haven't had that happen in a long time. So we've gone from conscious bias to usually unconscious bias to oftentimes equal voice at the table. So I see the progression, and I
yes.
have a lot of optimism there.
Yes. I agree. I agree. We've made it a long way. I had nobody to go up against, so it was just me, me, me. So I have no, you know what I mean? Like it was my company and I was in control of everything. So I just forged the way, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, whole different set of issues around that. Yeah. And I would like to say that we have, by doing the things that we do, and I say we as this community of people within the pet industry, we have made things better for our industry so that people don't have to experience some of these biases as much anymore.
Well, and with so many women leading in the on the front lines of things, so many women store owners, and you know, in the sales force, representatives of manufacturing companies, sales reps and distribution. We might be getting into a little more male dominance there, but
Right.
that our voices really need to push so that, I mean, that being said, we definitely need more above, and there's no reason why we shouldn't.
Right. Yeah. And you bring up a point. Like you look at so we have more women who are owners now. We have more women who have made that step into, like Teresa Miller being the president of IndiePet,
Yeah.
who have made that step into leadership. But then you move into distribution, and
Yeah.
you don't have that leadership yet.
Right.
So we still have some layers to work on.
Yeah. Yeah. Layla, come, leave him.
Is she bothering Bo?
Come here. Come. I
Layla.
Mwah.
Oh. Oh man. So Layla is a ginormous Great Dane.
Yes.
And her head is bigger than Tony's head, I can say with confidence.
She always likes to make her presence known when I'm interviewing. Just
Yeah.
saying. She makes
She's a
her,
powerful woman, that one.
which is what we're trying to do. We're just trying
Exactly.
to make our presence known and validity and our voices heard.
That's right. And not shying away when we do a good thing, saying this is a win. We did
Right.
this.
Right.
This was us, buddy. We did it. And not to say we didn't have all these people helping us
Mm-hmm.
along the way,
Mm-hmm.
and acknowledging those folks and not shying away from, yeah, this is we're a pretty powerful bunch here.
Yep. We are. We are. And we need to own that.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you for joining me.
Been a pleasure. Nice to talk with you. Good conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for joining Toni Unleashed, and please share this podcast with friends, family, women, men, all of the above, and please give a rating of 5 stars to help us spread awareness about helping pets thrive. Bye for now.